All right, guys, we got some things to do. The engine's pretty much done, with the exception of the oil pan. So we're gonna Honda bond that, and we did weld a 10 AN fitting onto this. Even though it looks like poop, it'll have to do for now. Maybe one day we'll fix it. Maybe we won't. The other next challenging thing we got is welding of the manifold. So this is kind of the little setup I got going right now. Using an old school PRL turbo manifold block, so you can bolt it down so it won't warp on you, and it's also got the fittings to run the line, so the lines actually run through it, and it'll send gas to the chambers, I guess, and that way when you weld, you'll get a purged system. And it looks pretty cool. A cool idea. I just don't know if they ever sold many of them, but I bought that a long time ago too. So probably 10 years ago. But PRL Motorsports doesn't do that stuff pretty much no more. But their stuff's pretty good. So anyhow, let me get to the Honda bonding. We're gonna bolt this to the bottom of the car, and we will then go work on turbo manifold stuff. All right, guys, it's the next day now. I've lost track how many days I've been doing this. Feels like I'm on an island by myself sometimes, talking to myself. But anyways, today the big problem is we're trying to weld some stuff. This looks like poop, but it's my first time really welding, so I think it's pretty good. I think I have a bunch of heat issues, obviously, so we'll work on that. But one of the major problems is my header that I cut and try to flip 180. One of the runners is bending low, so I guess it was under a lot of stress when it was welded, and then when I cut the flange off, the stress unsprung itself. So what I had to do was get creative, watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and they were talking about how you can bend pipe with heat using an oxyacetylene torch, and I didn't have one, so I had the next best thing. I have a Bronzematic oxyacetylene. Oh, not oxygen, MAP gas, MAP Pro, and I just basically hit that. That's why it's all discolored now. And then I try to use a bar to just push it up, right? But the problem with that is I did not have enough force behind it to really push it up. Hence why you see this. And so far, it looks pretty good. See, I'm trying to just get this to move up to equal that, and so far it looks pretty good. Gotta wait till it cools down, take the bar off, and see if it sits or not. If it doesn't, probably have to heat up again, and yeah, basically heat up again. And what I'm trying to do is take those 4 holes and put them here, and then take that and stick it there. Sounds so easy, doesn't it? This is the part of building a car that a lot of people don't understand, is the guys that are buying parts and just putting them on. It is pretty easy. If the part fits, it goes on and it's done. For me, I kind of wanted to learn the whole building a car thing, so I opted for a lot of the DIY stuff. And at the time when the project was kind of started, one of the main things, one of the main goals wasn't just to build a car. It was also, we need to learn how to build a car, not just assemble a car, but building of the cars. Hence why this is all hacked out, so we have to learn how to weld, we have to do metal work, we have to learn how to do lines, electrical. There's a lot of computation, you can say, calculations that need to be done. How big of an injector do you need? How much PSI do you need on this? Is this radiator going to cool enough? So do you need an oil cooler? Do you need this? Do you need that? So there's a lot of little things. I know the project has been on delay due to just life stuff, but we're planning to complete this year. This year is the 25th year this car has been alive. So this is the year it becomes a classic officially. And I never thought I would say that I would own a classic car one of these days, but now I do. It's going to be a classic at the end of the year. Well, actually, you can even argue this year, right? But it's a classic car. It's it's nice to have one, man. Not a lot of these running around anymore, you know. So when you was a little kid, well, say little kid, but you're 18 years old and you can't understand why these old guys, the guys that are in the 40s and 50s, shit, I'm on 40 this year. You don't understand why they hang on to their 76 Cougar or whatever they have, you know, 76 Mustang, whatever. And now we're starting to understand. We're at that age. We're starting to understand these are really, really old. They're really rare. Some of the parts you have are no longer made. And this is part of the era that you grew up in. And that's how, I guess that's how we can relate to the other guys too. That was the era that they grew up in. That's what they like, right? So this is a hot rod. Don't get me wrong. This is not a restore project. This is a hot rod. So I never thought I'd buy a hot rod too or build a hot rod too. But yeah, hot rod. So anyhow, let me stop my ranting. Gotta go back and work. The turbo header has been modified and mocked up and fits great with the original turbo. Original turbo works great. Might even have enough area for a downpipe. It just has to kind of go like this right back down. Might be okay. Problem is, that's not the turbo we're planning on running. We're planning on running this turbo. This turbo is not going to work because of this guy. He is being a little beach because that plus all the oil lines and water lines and everything else is just not really working. It's not going to work out. So we're going to have to redo this header. And what we're planning to do is bring this up a little bit. And I'm going to pie cut some of these. So maybe it'll work out. I have no idea. Regardless, we're going to do it anyways. So test and tune, man. Test and tune. It's pretty hard. I was thinking of redesigning the entire header design, but that would even take even more time. And we ain't got that much time. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to notch it a little bit. And we're going to bring the header up. We'll angle it up a little bit more. Hopefully clear everything. Because when I put that turbo in, you can see it scratches the crap out of this back wall right here. That's why the tape is there. It's just not going to clear. It's got some issues there. So we got some problems, man. We got some problems. All right, guys. I don't know what day it is, but tomorrow's deadline. And we built a turbo header that fits. But when we put the turbo on, we had issues, fitment issues. Like I said, it works great on the old turbo. The new turbo is a lot bigger. It's got all these weird things sticking out of it. So we're going to have to redesign the turbo manifold. And when we do that, that involves cutting custom pieces. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do. This is like the third design already, by the way. I didn't document the second design. The third design, we have to get it so it's perfect so it won't hit this and it won't hit this. That's kind of where it's at. So we're going to give it one more try. If we can't get it here, then we have to move on to electrical because I still want to start the car up just regardless of what happens. So the electrical, I feel like I have a better grasp on it than the welding stuff. So let's going to do that. Let's just do that. All right, so this is the third design. And what I've done is, instead of going an inch tall, we're going to go 7.5 with a 5-degree angle. You got to do some weird stuff like this. Like I said, I'm new to this. I don't know what I'm doing. So hopefully this works. So we only did 2 runners. We're going to test fit and make sure it works. And then we'll come back and we'll do the other ones if it's all good. All right, guys. What we did actually might work. So let me show you. Still a mock-up, but everything is tight. I mean, it is going to be pretty tight. There's barely any clearance here. Barely any clearance. And there might not be once you bolt it down. It might be like that. More than likely, it will be like that. And on this end, there's like no clearance either. So I'm not sure. I think I'm just going to put it together and run it. But there's going to be a lot of moving things around, I think, to get this to work just right. We'll see. We're gonna have to see about that. Gonna have to see about that. I was kind of hoping we'd have more space in this, but if you want a equal length header, it seems a little tricky. And the other thing is the exit is pretty tight too. I think I'd really want it to go like this, but the oil lines are in the way. So I'm gonna have to somehow do something about the oil lines too. Not exactly sure what we're gonna do yet. Maybe 90 or 45 them out, and then have the pipe go this way. Either that, or we have to axe this guy and have the pipe just go just down just like that, which is probably what is easiest to do. But you still gotta axe this. You could come out, go this way, but axing that kind of is gonna be the best solution there. We don't know, man. We don't know what we're gonna do yet. Not sure just yet. Puzzled. Puzzled. Alright, guys. So when your headers don't match up very well, you gotta go old school sometimes. And cutting new pieces is not a question. Okay. So what I did is I try to heat it so I can bend the header up a little bit, the tubes up. So how I did that was a bottle jack out of my truck, a pipe, stick it in there, and you're gonna crank up on this while the vise is holding everything in. So when you crank up on this, it'll bend the pipe up, right? It'll bend it up, but it'll come back. So what you have to do is you have to heat it to the point where it won't come back. So that's the cool thing about metal that not a lot of people tell, is if you heat metal and then let it chill, it'll hold its shape. So a lot of the guys online have been doing it with oxyacetylene torches, but I can tell you what, MAP gas works pretty good too. So what I did was, like I already did this one. So I had a pipe going into this, and then I just heat this edge right here. Get it glowing red, and then go to the other side and come at it from the other way and heat this right here. And after about, man, just a couple of minutes, just get it red, it's good. It works, So I'm on my second one, and I just finished up, and I can say I'm pretty happy with it. So hope that helps everybody out. For the first time DIY turbo header, guys, that's me right here. Took me a little bit to figure this out. All right, so this is officially my first manifold ever built, ever welded, ever metal fabrication. So check it out. This is what I got. Did not come out exactly the way I planned it, of course, but I ran out of gas. So that's probably part of the problem. So I ran out of gas, and I had to finish it off with the MIG. The MIG looks weird. The MIG leaves all these caterpillar-looking things. Flux core too. It didn't even have gas on it. So the TIG's not bad. It's not bad. For my first time, I can't complain. Can't complain. It is back purged. The back purging actually worked pretty good, I think. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I'm actually pretty impressed. First time around, give myself a C minus. The idea is we're gonna put it on the car. We're probably gonna start it with this turbo manifold, but the plan in the future is to build another one, a much better one. Once my skills get better, we're gonna build a better one. We might even change the whole orientation of this whole thing too. So I don't know. We'll see. All right, it is midnight. We're gonna call it a night. We're kind of out of things to do. We kind of have to go shopping right now, and everything's closed. Either that or start working on electrical. So we're just gonna go sleep, get up early tomorrow morning, go do some shopping, gotta go buy some fittings, and come back, and then start doing stuff in terms of last minute coolant hoses, and plug up the EMS, run power to it, and run power to the harness, I'm assuming, and check all the grounds. And we should fingers crossed, we should be able to start this thing. So that's all we got for today. Pretty burnt out. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go dry crank it, guys. Because at that stage, the ECU's turned off. We're not going to run the ECU. We're just going to hot wire it. Starter runs strong. Everything runs good. So far, it takes like 7.25 quarts. So she's thirsty for oil. All right, guys. So ran the electrical. Most of it, I would say 90% of it is done. I gotta check a couple little things. I gotta make sure the coil packs have power, and I gotta make sure I gotta run some lines for my two sensors, 1 and 2 down there, and I also gotta run lines for the transmission for the wiring. And I think that should be it. I primed the fuel pump, and everything is good. We are getting excellent fuel across the board, so we should be okay with that. I also primed the oil. This engine, I believe, only takes 4.5 quarts when it's in a normal S2000. But when we have all this hardware running around, oil cooler and relocated oil filters, we're now up to 7.25 quarts to keep this thing happy. So it's quite a bit, and I don't blame it. I mean, that's a lot of lines. So we got the EMS going. It's all programmed out. Just still sitting on the floor right there. But the EMS is fired up. We did make communications with it with the computer, and we did upload a custom tune base map with with all the sensors and everything. I didn't crank it out because there's a couple things I want to check before I cranked it. But I did also bypass power to the starter just to get the motor spinning. And that's how I know I needed a 7.25 quarts. Because when I first filled it with 5, it was pretty happy. And then as I started cranking it on it, and I guess all the oil ran everywhere it needed to go, you start noticing the oil levels drop on the dipstick. So I kept filling it until it got to its happy place. So it's pretty happy at 7.25 quarts of oil. I'm running 10W30. Might go to 10W40. Depends on what happens, but it sounds really good. I mean, it sounds really, really good. So I can't wait to start the thing up, man. I got to do some research, just a couple little things on what a clutch relay is. Either that or I'm just going to bypass the whole thing and put a start button on the console. Just press that and it'll just start the motor. But I'm not sure yet. There's a bunch of wires still hanging. There. And we will work on that. Also, that's also the wideband. We're just going to try to crank it the way it is. I got to go buy some more gas. I'm out of gas. That thing's done. So I'm just going to crank it just to make sure it will even turn on and like stay on for maybe 10 seconds. Hence why there's so much room on the floor here. In case it did turn on, I didn't want the heat like killing everything in this area. So we got to get some more gas. That's probably on Tuesday. And then we got to do a downpipe to the grading exhaust. So we got to do all that this coming week. It's going to be a lot on my plate, but I think we can do it. I'm like that much better with the whole welding thing too. So we got that. We got a bunch of flanges I still got to go order because I think I ordered the wrong one. Ordered the wrong turbo flange. So that might not come in till next week. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. It'll be an interesting week. Oh yeah, so did all this and even put my carbine bar on it, and I just put it on, and it barely clears the oil line. Barely clears. So it does clear, so we can keep the carbine bar. a expensive bar. I think I paid like $500 for it back in the day. So I think now they're like $700. I think they still make them, but they're pretty expensive now. The Walbro 450, first time firing up. It fires up great. Nothing on the gasoline side leaked except for the fuel pump. There's a little leak in the fuel pump area, so we're gonna fix that probably with some gasket maker because it's just bubbling. I don't know why it's bubbling, but it's kind of weird. A lot of little things, checking things for oil. I have an oil leak somewhere. I can't find out where. It was dripping somewhere, but now it's not dripping no more. Now it's like dry, but it was dripping a little bit before, so I'm trying to figure out why. But anyways, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys tomorrow or on the next episode or maybe the next scene. All right? All right, guys. We did not start the motor because got a little paranoid, and I was thinking we should just finish the harness, and we'll work with that. So we got to build our own custom harness. We got to build a harness that comes from that hole, snakes around here somehow, underneath here, and first stop will be oil pressure sensor. There's an oil pressure sensor down there. Underneath here, there's an oil pressure sensor. And it also has to go to VSS, which is the speed. And we also have to go to, I don't know what that is just yet, but I believe this is reverse. So that's what we gotta do. We gotta wire all that up. And I don't even have a connector for this guy. Still gotta get a connector for that. So it's kind of what we're doing. I got a harness here, 18 gauge. I just made up with all these bunch of wires. So basically what I'm thinking of doing is we have orange and black, that's solid. Orange is going to be power, 5 volts. Black is going to be ground. And we're going to have 4 signal lines. So white and a stripe of color is signal. That's what we're going to stick with. I've got it in a sleeve right here right now. And then from here on out, they'll split up. So they're going to be smaller sleeve than this. This is like a 3/8 sleeve, and they'll jump out into 1/4-inch sleeves, and they'll go out to their correct sensor. And that should be good, right? Should be. We'll see. All right. Here goes nothing. There goes nothing. It's time to crank it up, see if it goes. All right, guys, this is a coil test for a Honda 3-pin. I'm sure a bunch of other coils can do this too, but 3-pin looking from top, 12, that's a plus 12, that's negative or ground, and that's your 5-volt trigger. So I got everything wired up. You got a scope here. I'm gonna power it off of a power supply. This is a more scientific test than most of the things I've seen on the internet, but I'll show you guys what I got. We got 12 volts, maximum current 5.2. This thing actually pulls a lot of power, so it pulls probably about 5. This is something, just know this is a frequency generator, okay? And this is where we verify the signals are going to this pin or not. So I'm gonna cheat here a little bit. Yeah, don't disregard this. Frequency generator. Yep. Testing my coil plugs. It's for the internet to see, because I couldn't find this video, so I had to make it. Alright, hopefully you guys learned something. Alright, boys. We had to do a lot a lot of fancy things in terms of electrical wiring to get this thing to start. And it starts beautiful too, by the way. But just so relieved, man. Look at this wire. There's a lot of electrical voltage problems that. Alright guys, finally got it to start one time. It starts up great. It kind of idled. I just shut it off because I wasn't sure what I was doing exactly. But super stoked. There was a lot of electrical issues. It's on the lines of the AEM EMS needs a certain amount of revolutions before it fires. And when you're doing that, the voltage of the battery goes down. So I had to rewire some wires. There's a bad relay involved. The works. Like if this was the worst thing ever, it was. But I'm pretty stoked because I got it running. I had to run power, a dedicated power switch straight from the battery. And that's the other thing too. The battery's in the back now, so that probably didn't help. To power on the controller. So you flip the switch. Controller turns on. Pump primes. And this is now connected. We're on the start screen. And then now we're here. And let's crank it. Let's crank it. Let me show you guys what it looks like. Alright, fellas. Lots of problems. But we got it to go. Fired up on the standalone. Let's do this. I'll do this again. Alright. She officially works. It officially works. And we might have something else on our hands. That was a lot. That was a real high idle, so we might have to leak somewhere in here. But I was able to cup this, and the idle did drop, or the RPMs did drop, so that's a good thing. So that probably just means idle air control probably needs a little tuning. Other than that, I think we're on to something, you know. Turbo spinning, everything's good. I just gotta check the oil lines, make sure they're not leaking or anything, which they are, which is not good. I think it's leaking. I don't know. We'll see.